There's a certain magic in pocket change that most people overlook. For the majority, a penny is just a penny, the smallest unit in our currency, almost dismissed as background noise in daily life. But for seasoned collectors and sharp-eyed hobbyists, some of these tiny copper coins tell bigger stories than even the rarest gold pieces. Today we're taking a closer look at 4 particular Lincoln cents, minted in years that, on the surface, don't seem unusual at all: 1994, 1998, 1999, and 2011. They aren't ancient relics or colonial era issues, yet each one hides secrets of scarcity, oddities of production, and market values that turn a coin worth 1 cent into something worth hundreds, or even thousands. Let's start our journey with the 1998 penny, a coin that teaches us how even in the modern minting era, errors and variations can transform an everyday object into a collector's prize. Now, the 1998 Lincoln cent doesn't strike you at first as anything particularly special. It looks like any other copper-plated zinc cent from the 1990s, with Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But 1998 holds a fascinating distinction because of one specific variety that slipped into circulation, the 1998 wide AM. In coin collecting circles, those 2 letters, AM, carry a weight far greater than their size. This variety gets its name from the spacing between the A and M in the word America on the reverse. On most 1998 cents, the A and M are almost touching, which is the correct design for circulation strikes. But on the wide AM variety, there's a clear and noticeable gap between them, a design meant for proof coins that somehow found its way onto business strikes. The backstory lies in the mint's use of different reverse dies. Proof coins were supposed to showcase that wider spacing, while circulation coins were intended to keep the close design. At some point, a proof die was mistakenly used in regular production, creating a rare crossover that instantly stood out once sharp-eyed collectors began spotting them in change. That's what makes the 1998 wide AM such a standout. It isn't a deliberate commemorative or a low mintage issue, it's an accident of production, and accidents like these are often the most exciting finds for collectors. So how valuable can such a subtle spacing difference be? Quite a bit, actually. A regular 1998 cent, of course, is worth just face value unless it's in pristine mint state. But the 1998 wide AM variety can fetch anywhere from $100 to $600 depending on condition, and exceptional examples graded at the highest levels by PCGS or NGC have crossed the $1,000 mark at auction. What's astonishing is that this variety still occasionally turns up in circulation, which means that even now, more than 2 decades after minting, someone could spend a penny at a grocery store without realizing it's a miniature treasure. Condition plays a huge role here. A circulated 1998 wide AM might still earn a collector a nice return, but its surfaces often show nicks, wear, and discoloration that pull the value down. Once you get into uncirculated territory, particularly coins with strong luster and minimal marks, the numbers climb sharply. And at the very top, coins graded MS67 or higher are the ones that spark bidding wars, because they represent not only the rarity of the variety itself but the even greater rarity of surviving in pristine form. One interesting side note is how this variety is part of a small trilogy of sorts. Collectors also prize the 1999 wide AM and the 2000 wide AM, both of which resulted from the same type of die mix-up. Together, these 3 years form a kind of modern era chase set, with the 1998 wide AM often considered the most iconic because it was the first widely recognized. Many collectors, particularly those who started in the 1990s, remember the thrill of checking every single penny in their pocket change under a magnifying glass, hoping to spot that tiny space between 2 letters that could turn a cent into a $500 piece. There's a lesson embedded in the 1998 wide AM. Rarity doesn't always come from antiquity. Sometimes it comes from human error, from a mix-up at the mint, from details so small they escape casual notice but carry enormous weight once discovered. It's a reminder that the Lincoln cent, perhaps the most familiar coin in American pockets, going back a little further, the 1994 Lincoln cent may not seem like the most obvious candidate for a modern rarity. Billions were minted that year across Philadelphia and Denver, and for most people it was just another penny tossed into jars, drawers, and vending machines. But as with the other coins we've discussed, the 1994 cent carries hidden stories that make it a surprising highlight for collectors who dig a little deeper. The first point of interest with the 1994 penny is its transitional place in the series. By the mid-1990s, the mint had been striking copper-plated zinc cents for more than a decade, following the 1982 switch from solid copper. That change meant coins were cheaper to produce, but also less durable. Many 1994 cents show signs of bubbling, streaking, or discoloration because the thin copper plating doesn't always hold up well over time. For collectors, that means finding pristine examples with a rich, original red luster is tougher than you might think, and high-grade survivors command strong premiums. But beyond condition rarity, the 1994 penny is best known for a handful of errors and varieties that slipped into circulation. Among the most famous are doubled dies, particularly those showing extra thickness or doubling in Liberty and the date. While not as bold as some of the dramatic doubling seen in earlier decades, these varieties are still highly collectible, with values climbing into the hundreds depending on clarity and grade. There are also off-center strikes and clipped planchets from 1994 that fetch notable sums. These are the types of errors that remind us the mint, despite its precision, is never completely immune to quirks of production. Auction results have shown just how valuable the right 1994 cent can be. A standard 1994 penny in circulation is, of course, worth a cent. But in gem mint state, particularly coins graded MS67RD or higher, prices shoot upward. Some of these have sold for $200 to $500, and in the finest condition with blazing red color, they've even broken into the $1,000 range. Considering how many billions were made, it might sound surprising, but that's the key. Out of those billions, only a tiny fraction have survived without the blemishes, spots, or handling marks that plague zinc-based coins. One particularly interesting twist comes from proof issues. The 1994 S-proof Lincoln cent, struck in San Francisco, is readily available from proof sets, but flawless examples graded PR70 DCM, perfect coins with deeply mirrored fields and frosted designs, are incredibly scarce. These can bring several $100s each, proving that even coins struck with collector quality in mind can develop their own layers of rarity. Registry set collectors are especially hungry for them, since perfection is the ultimate goal in building top-ranked sets. What makes the 1994 penny stand out even more is how it connects to the collecting habits of the time. In the 1990s, interest in era coins and varieties was exploding, fueled by publications, coin shows, and early online communities. The 1994 doubled dies and off-center strikes became part of that wave, giving collectors modern, affordable targets to hunt, while still offering the thrill of rarity. For many who were active in the hobby during that decade, the 1994 penny carries a nostalgic punch. It represents the excitement of digging through rolls, comparing details under magnification, and chasing varieties that most people never even knew existed. Condition-based value differences really can't be overstated with this coin. A circulated 1994 penny, even with doubling, is going to be modest in value. But a high-grade uncirculated example with full red color is a completely different story. Red-brown or brown examples, which show even slight toning, are worth far less than full red, pristine pieces. That's why so many collectors go through unsearched rolls or sealed mint sets, hoping to uncover a gem-quality survivor. In the end, the 1994 penny teaches us the same lesson we've seen across the other dates. Modern cents are far from boring. With their errors, their fragile surfaces, their varieties, and their surprisingly high-grade rarities, they prove that even the most common-seeming coins can turn out to be treasures. And when you put the 1994 alongside the 1998, the 1999, and the 2011, you see a pattern emerge. Each of these years offers its own doorway into the thrill of discovery, whether through a doubled die, a spacing variety, or the challenge of finding perfection. That's what makes collecting modern Lincoln cents so rewarding. They're not just coins you spend without a second thought. They're artifacts of minting history, each with its quirks and mysteries. And for those who take the time to notice the details, they're a reminder that even the humblest penny can carry stories worth far more than its face value. By the time 2011 rolled around, the Lincoln cent had already gone through several design changes and a full century of history. Collectors were still buzzing from the 2009 bicentennial designs, which honored Lincoln's life, and the introduction of the new Union Shield reverse in 2010. The 2011 penny, then, might seem like just another routine issue of the Shield design. But here's the catch: certain 2011 Lincoln cents turned out to be far more than ordinary, and they've become standout pieces for modern collectors who know what to look for. The first thing to know is that the 2011 cent was part of the newer zinc-based coins with a thin copper plating. That makes them particularly fragile when it comes to wear, spotting, and discoloration. Most people never give a second glance to these pennies, but there are rare issues that command significant premiums, especially proof errors and mint-state examples that showcase striking mistakes. Among the most famous is the 2011 double die variety, where the lettering on "In God We Trust" or "Liberty" appears doubled under magnification. Doubling is one of those quirks collectors absolutely love because it's easy to spot once you know what you're looking for, and it gives the coin a dramatic character far different from its ordinary counterparts. Another key area of interest for the 2011 penny lies in proof issues. Proof coins struck at the San Francisco Mint with the S mint mark often show cameo or deep cameo surfaces, frosted designs with mirror-like fields, that collectors treasure. While proofs themselves are not rare in raw numbers, flawless examples graded PR70 DCM are extremely scarce and highly desirable. It's not uncommon for a 2011 S-proof penny graded at this perfect level to sell for hundreds, far above the cost of an ordinary proof set. Market values for the most collectible 2011 cents range widely depending on the variety and condition. A standard 2011 Shield cent in pocket change isn't worth more than face value unless it's pulled fresh from a roll and carefully preserved. But a double die variety, even in circulated condition, can bring $50 to $100. In mint state, those numbers climb quickly, with examples graded MS67 and higher often selling for several $100s. Meanwhile, top-graded proofs can range anywhere from $100 to $500, with registry set collectors, those who aim to build the finest known sets, paying premiums to secure flawless coins. One of the most interesting aspects of the 2011 cent is how it bridges tradition and modernity. The Shield reverse design was meant to honor Lincoln's role in preserving the Union, with the large central shield symbolizing strength and unity. After decades of seeing the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, collectors were still adjusting to the new look. That transition gave the 2011 penny a bit of added spotlight since it was among the earliest full production years of the Shield design. In a way, it represents the new era of the Lincoln cent, one that continues to this day. Condition, as always, makes a massive difference. Zinc-based cents from this period are notorious for developing unattractive spots or discoloration due to the way the thin copper layer interacts with the environment. Finding a flawless, bright red example without blemishes is far harder than it sounds. Collectors who specialize in modern issues often argue that high-grade post-2010 cents are tougher to find than many older copper-based issues simply because of this inherent fragility. That rarity of condition has become a major driver of value for the 2011 penny. There are also stories of collectors pulling valuable 2011 double die varieties straight from bank rolls or pocket change. For many, that thrill of discovery is what makes modern coins so appealing. You don't need to spend thousands at an auction to land a rarity. Sometimes you just need to pay attention to the details of everyday coins. It's not unusual for collectors to keep rolls of 2011 cents stored away, checking them with fresh eyes every few years as grading standards evolve and new varieties are discovered. The 2011 penny, then, stands as proof that modern doesn't mean mundane. In a series as long-running as the Lincoln cent, every year has potential surprises, and 2011 is no exception. Between double dies, top-graded proofs, and the challenges of zinc coinage, It offers layers of intrigue that keep collectors coming back. It shows us that even in the 21st century, pennies still hold mysteries worth chasing, and sometimes, those mysteries can turn a single cent into a piece worth hundreds. When you think about the 1999 Lincoln cent, it doesn't immediately strike most collectors as a landmark year. But hidden within that year's mintage is another fascinating variety that has kept collectors searching pocket change with almost childlike excitement. Just as with the 1998 penny, 1999 gave us a version of the coin where the word, America, on the reverse holds the key. This is the famous 1999 wide AM cent, a small slip of die usage that created one of the most sought-after modern Lincoln cent varieties. The story begins with the way the mint was handling proof and circulation dies in the late 1990s. Proof coins struck for collectors were supposed to have the wide AM reverse, with the letters A and M clearly separated. Circulation coins, the ones that ended up in your pocket and mine, were meant to use the closed AM reverse, with the letters almost touching. Somewhere along the line, though, a proof die found its way into regular circulation production. The result was a batch of 1999 pennies that carried the wide AM design, instantly setting them apart from the billions of ordinary cents struck that year. At first glance, this detail might seem so subtle that you'd wonder how it could matter. But for collectors, varieties like this are gold. The spacing of the letters isn't just a quirky accident, it's a window into the process at the mint, into how mistakes happen even in a system that produces billions of coins with incredible consistency. And in 1999, the wide AM variety became one of the most recognizable and celebrated errors of its era. Market values for the 1999 wide AM cent can vary widely depending on condition. In circulated grades, they might bring in anywhere from $50 to $200, already a huge leap from their 1 cent face value. But when you start looking at uncirculated examples, the numbers jump dramatically. Coins graded in the MS65 to MS67 range have brought in hundreds, and top-tier examples have sold for well over $1,000 at major auctions. In 2012, for example, a gorgeous 1999 wide AM graded MS67 RD by PCGS fetched around $1,500, a jaw-dropping return for a coin that might once have slipped unnoticed into someone's pocket change. What makes the 1999 variety so compelling is the context of that year. 1999 wasn't just any year in the Lincoln cent series. It was the last full year before the turn of the millennium. Collectors were already excited about coins from that era, saving new rolls, tucking away pristine examples, and thinking ahead to what the year 2000 might bring. Against that backdrop, the 1999 wide AM became more than just an error. It became a symbol of the surprises hidden in modern coinage. Condition is, once again, critical. A circulated wide AM still carries value, but as with any modern variety, the cream rises to the top with uncirculated and red-colored examples. Collectors especially prize coins with full mint luster and no spots or toning, since the zinc-based cents of the 1990s are notoriously prone to discoloration and spotting over time. Finding a wide AM in high mint state with brilliant red surfaces is far more difficult than most people realize, and that difficulty drives premiums skyward. There's also a cultural element to the 1999 wide AM. When word of this variety spread in the early 2000s, countless new collectors grabbed magnifying glasses and started combing through jars of pennies. It became one of those gateway coins, one that could spark a lifelong interest in numismatics. Many seasoned collectors today can trace their passion back to hunting for that 1999 wide AM, checking every cent in their change with hope and curiosity. Interestingly, the 1999 wide AM often overshadows its siblings from 1998 and 2000. While all 3 years share the same mix-up story, the 1999 is usually considered the rarest and most valuable of the trio, which is why it commands the most attention at auctions and in price guides. That sense of exclusivity has only grown over the years, especially as more people become aware of the variety and search for it. At the end of the day, the 1999 wide AM is a reminder that even in a year as recent as the late 1990s, true rarities can be hiding in plain sight. It doesn't take a centuries-old coin or a gold piece struck for royalty to hold value. Sometimes it just takes a small gap between two letters, a die that ended up in the wrong place, and a collector willing to pay attention. And with the 1999 penny, that combination turned an ordinary cent into one of the most celebrated modern rarities in the Lincoln cent series.